Hello everyone and welcome back to Dune Awakening. Okay then, let's go ahead and pick up exactly where we left off. Alrighty then, let's get started. Well, you might be able to tell that we are not actually in our old base. Don't worry, the old base is completely fine. It is still perched on this cliffside. I just wanted to do something different in this episode. Since we have finished the main story, I thought that maybe we can wind things down a little bit and maybe we can go and, well, do something informative. Well, in between episodes, I have built this. Basically, one of those box standard box bases that you can see all around the game. And I decided to maybe give those players a couple of pointers just to help them make their bases look at least somewhat more interesting. So, what can we do to achieve that? Well, let's take out the construction tool and let's get to work. Basically, if you have seen my older series, you might know that what I'm going to say right now. To make things look more interesting, you want to give them depth. Basically, we have all these flat walls. They are very, very boring to look at. To give them something more interesting, well, we just need to give them depth. For example, we have these wedge pieces at our disposal, and what we can do is place them all along the bottom of these walls. And as you can see, this already gives them some character, basically. You know what? I think I will leave the rest of the building untouched and I will use this as a demonstration. And so we will have something to compare to, I suppose. Now, you don't need to put these wedges all the way to the bottom. You can go a little bit higher up as well. And that will create, well, more of a more prominent feature on these walls. Now we have these wedges. All we need to do now is fill up the rest of the space with actual walls, like so. And now basically we have, I don't know what it's called, I believe buttresses. You know, the stuff that you can see on old cathedrals, old wall supports like this. Now, this also leaves these spaces completely empty. If you really want to fill them up with something, I mean, they already look kind of nice, but if you really want to fill them in, you have a couple of options at your disposal. For example, you can use these 45-degree inclines. Why are you trying to make it like this? No, it's fine. So anyways, you have these 45-degree walls. They are alright, but I think for down here, these 30-degree inclines might make a bit more sense. Also, we have these stairs at our disposal. We also have these smooth inclines. If I have to make a choice, I think I would go with the stairs because, well, once again, we are trying to create depth on these walls. And, well, this is a flat surface. This is a little bit more interesting to look at. It's completely non-functional because it doesn't lead to anything, but I think you get my drift. But these inclines are not the only thing that we can put in there. For example, we can put roof pieces. As you can see there, they are creating the same kind of effect, but these are, well, instead of a completely straight incline, these are a little bit more curved. So for aesthetic reasons, I think this might do a better job at this. Now, we can also do the same thing on the upper levels as well. Well, all we need to do is, well, let's just pick this one. If you want to do this on the upper levels too, well, we need to use inverted wedges. The thing is that, well, down here, it makes sense to use the 45-degree wedges because if you want to fill up the inside of these spaces, it would make sense to, well, let me just show you. Let me just put in 30-degree wedges here. There, it's fine, it's floating, don't worry about it. Well, if you want to fill up these empty spaces, we would have to use these 30-degree inclines, but that would also pretty much completely negate the presence of these wedges. So I prefer to use these 45-degree wedges and then fill up the space with 30-degree inclines, because, well, I think the resulting picture is a little bit nicer that way. And there we go. So, as I was saying, on the upper levels, I think, well, first, I suppose we could extend the roofs so those supports actually have something to, well, support. There we go. And all we need to do is, well, let's just have 45-degree wedges right here. Let's see how it looks on both options. And then let's just have 30-degree wedges right here. Basically, it's completely up to you. Once again, if you want to fill up these spaces with inclines, I would say that maybe use the 45-degree wedges, and then that will make sure that everything is visible and it will still look nice. If you don't want to fill up the spaces, I would suggest using these 30-degree inclines. But, well, I don't think you have to use them to support an actual roof. Let's just demolish these pieces. Might as well demolish these too. Well, I think simply using these as, I don't know, spikes on the upper levels, I think they all also serve a purpose this way. It is completely decorative, it doesn't serve an actual functional purpose, but I think it does look, yeah, kind of interesting. Anyways, let's just grab something to drink real quick. Yes, I am wearing a steel suit, so we are reclaiming water, but, well, we are out in the open, so it's not great. So, anyways, as you can see, we can create nice little features along the wall, but, well, I don't think this really does the job completely. Now, let's go inside and let's ask ourselves a question. Do we really need all this space on the inside? Because, well, even if you build every machine 3 times over, this space will not be filled up. This is way too much space, and, well, if it's too much space, I think it's pretty safe to say that, yeah, I think we can sacrifice some of that space on the outside. So, for example, what if we push this entrance in by 1? Like this. Yeah, let's just give that a try. Well, this breaks up the monotony of the entire facade quite a bit. And, well, as you might have guessed, this creates a very big indent, and that creates depth, and, well, as we have established, that is a very good way of making things look more interesting. Also, you don't have to settle for these 90-degree angles around the corners. Thankfully, in this game, we have access to, well, curved walls as well. Let me just put something in real quick. So we have these walls. In this particular building set, we have these actual curved walls, or we have these slightly angled curved walls. Yeah, by the way, I am using this building set because, well, everyone definitely have access to it. At some point, everyone does gain access to the Chom facility set as well, but that only comes after the first area. You know what? Just to be on the safe side, I decided to use this one. Obviously, I am not going to delve anywhere into the 3D strongholds pieces because, well, apart from having a pretty steep cost to gain access to them, they also require plastone, and that is basically one of the mid to late game building materials, so let's not worry about that right now. Let me just go back to the Chome shelter set. So we have these corner pieces. Let's just build it all around this entrance. So, what do you say? I think this one already looks a lot more interesting. Simply by creating a small, basically by sacrificing 2 tiles worth of space on the inside, I think it is a very good trade-off. Right. Well, as we have established, we don't need to settle for these 90-degree corners. We can use these rounded ones. So, tell you what, let's have these rounded corners on these corners as well. By the way, I specifically built this place with enough space for one more block on the outside, so we can have these wedges. But, well, on these corners, we don't have to settle for a simple rounded corner. We can also settle for, well, basically I believe it's called a turret. You know, those big towers on the corners of castles, for example. Well, all we need to do is first create a rounded corner right here. There. And as you might have guessed, let's just fill up this space with, well, rounded walls. I think it's pretty safe to say that, yes, this already looks a lot more interesting. And unfortunately, we don't have enough room to do it right now. But if you really wanted to, you can also put these wedges on the middle of these turrets. And once again, that would break up the monotony of the flat walls and would create a nice looking little feature on them. At least I think so. Okay then, well, unfortunately it is now nighttime, so I don't really want to work in the darkness, so tell you what if we work a little bit on the inside? We have these nice, very bright lights, so let's make use of them. Well, the inside is a little bit different compared to the outside because, well, on the outside, I don't think we will lose a lot of sleep if we sacrifice these lower parts, because we are not going to build anything over there. But on the inside, we will definitely need to have the floor space. So I don't think we will build those wedges on the inside, but I think it's pretty safe to say that on the ceiling, we can definitely go wild. So once again, all we need to do is place these wedges along the ceiling like this. And as you can see, this place already looks a lot more interesting. Now, ideally, you might want to basically break up this place into separate rooms, and that would definitely help make things look a bit more interesting. But if you don't want to, this will do in a pinch. And once again, you can use these inclines. Unfortunately, it doesn't really matter if you use stairs or the smooth inclines. From down here, they all look basically the same, so choosing between them is already really relevant if their top side is visible. As for these corner pieces, you can fill them in with these, yeah, this one. There we go. This will do a perfectly fine job. But once again, these are not the only choice we have. We can also use these roof pieces once again. And once again, I think if it was me, I would go for these because, well, having these slightly curved ceiling tiles makes a bit more sense. They look a bit more interesting. And once again, we can have this corner piece right there. Okay then. And one more thing about these specific pieces. Let me just place a couple of wedges maybe here. But instead of placing them on this top of the ceiling, well, you know what? Let's just do it properly. What if we only have a single floor's worth of ceiling space? Like this. What if this is where the ceiling is because you are very conscious about space? Well, in that case, we can still do it. In that case, obviously, it would make more sense to use the 30-degree wedges because, well, they will be a little bit more space efficient. There and there. And here's the thing. If you want to fill up these spaces on the ceiling, well, I would suggest not using these inclines. Let me just show you. We have this incline, but we also have these roofs once again. Let me just put in this one. There. And now I will go ahead and take out one of the taller, yeah, the medium water cistern will do just fine for this demonstration. Well, if you want to put this one as close to the wall as possible, as you can see, it is being blocked by this incline. And this is how far you would need to come out to actually place it. That is a lot of dead space behind it. That is not great. But this roof piece is actually curved. And, well, let's just place a ghost image. As you can see, this creates a lot smaller dead space behind it. It's night and day. So, basically, these curved roof pieces do allow a little bit more headroom for these machines. Needless to say, if you are space conscious, that can be a deciding factor. Once again, using this one leaves a relatively small dead space behind them, but this one leaves a lot more, so yeah. If you're space conscious, you might want to consider that when you are building. Anyways, I think I am pretty happy with the amount of information that I have given you. Obviously, this is not the end-all be-all of everything that you might want to do in terms of making buildings look more interesting. Don't be shy about flying or driving around your server and taking a look at other players' bases. I'm sure every single server has plenty of inspiration to get, so don't be shy. It is perfectly acceptable to, well, get inspiration from other people. Anyways, as I've said, this is pretty much all I wanted to tell you about this particular topic. If you don't mind, I think I will go home real quick and, well, show you what has changed on the main base. It's not going to be a lot of changes because, well, I have been busy actually playing the game, but there are some slight changes to the main base. And welcome back home. As you can see, the hangar didn't really change all that much. I just replaced this door with an archway, so that's the only change I think here. Yeah, yeah, I did put some lights on these wall pieces. Yeah, just a little bit extra lighting in here. The staircase leading up to the main base is completely unchanged, and, well, this workshop area is basically the same. I think the only change we have is that I moved the chemical factory up into the garage because I have replaced the small one with a medium one, and the medium one was a little bit too big and it really didn't fit in here, so I had to move it. Down here, now we only have a single blood purifier because at this point I am not really using it. It is just here as a backup if we ever need it. And we have a couple of crafting stations. This mural and this wall is completely unchanged. The only really big change is, well, the garage. As you can see, it is now a lot bigger. I did create a small shelving system. It is basically box standard in the game. Everybody is doing it this way, but you may have to make sure, if you want to use this system, to use the chome facility floors, because the chome shelter set, let me just show you, their ceiling tiles are a little bit too thick and we cannot fit these storage containers under them, but the chome facility is thin enough that we can fit these guys. Also, I have the water storages on the upper levels, there we go, right there. And as you can see, I am using roof pieces to create a bit more angled ceiling under these shelves, basically. As for the actual ceiling, I am just using smooth inclines on the middle and roofing tiles on the side. We have the actual parking space to the side like this, and we have the dead stills right here. We have one body that is still processing. I think, yeah, it cannot dump the water because our storages don't have enough space. Once again, I wish they were working like blood bags, but they don't, unfortunately. Oh yeah, and this is where I store the bodies. If I need some more, I just go out one of the nearby bases, kill some guys, pick their bodies up and bring them home. Anyways, this is the medium chemical refinery. I had to build this one because, well, the small one was not able to make these stravidium fibers, and this is a tier 6 material. I think, yeah, I did venture into the deep desert a little bit. Thankfully, I was not attacked, but still, it was exciting. Also, we have the spice refinery. As you can see, I did refine 45 spice melange. Unfortunately, down here in the Hecker Basin, getting my hands on spice is, well, very slow because we don't have a lot of spice blooms and, well, they don't give us a lot of spice. Well, they give us about 500 pieces of spice sand if you go for every single spec, so that's not a lot. And we need 100 spice sand to get a single spice melange, so yeah, that is not a lot. Also, I accidentally picked this up, you can go back in there. Also, we get this spice residue as a leftover after this process. So yeah, and we have the vehicle fabricator right here. So anyways, as you can see, the garage is a lot bigger. I had to push out the entrance a little bit for this to work. And as a result, I had to include this single 45-degree piece here so we can actually make our way down fast enough to actually reach the bottom of the steps. So yeah, there we go. Well, anyways, I think this is all I wanted to tell you about this particular topic. Once again, if you really want to make your base look more interesting, all you need to do is drive around your server and look at other bases and get inspiration from them. That is a perfectly acceptable way of, well, getting inspiration. Sorry for the interruption. I decided that I might as well show you some of the more interesting looking buildings around my neighborhood. I will get back into the original recording in a second, but you know what? Since we are talking about inspiration, might as well show you some of the more inspiring looking buildings around my neighborhood. So, for example, we have this guy right here. As you can see, this is a... the basic shape is a box, but I think this person did a very good job at making it look a lot more interesting. For example, they did sacrifice some space on the inside by including these pieces right here. As you can see, this is a lot more interesting than simply using walls. I think they did a very good job. They also use these columns, and yeah, I think the end result is pretty nice. So once again, if you want to get some inspiration from other players, do not hesitate, it is perfectly acceptable. You can even get inspiration from NPC bases too, because, well, they are using the same general building pieces. Obviously, they are not going to be the same exact stuff, but, well, for example, we have normal height walls right here, but maybe you can build elevated balconies like this with half walls and half ramps as well. Once again, don't be afraid to get inspiration from anywhere. It doesn't really matter if it's player bases or NPC bases, as long as they are using the same basic building materials, I think it's going to be pretty doable for you as well. So anyways, I think at this point we can get back to the main recording, so let's get back into it. So anyways, tell you what, before we say goodbye, I only been recording for 30 minutes at this point, and I don't really want to... Oh, wait. I think that was a spice bloom. Speaking of, I wanted to take a quick detour out into the deep desert, but yeah, there we go. That's a spice bloom. Okay, before we go out into the deep desert, let's go ahead and harvest that. I am recording this 7 AM in the morning, so the server should be relatively low population right now. So I am not sure if we are going to have any competition for this spice bloom. So anyways, it should be, yeah, it is right there, that purple blotch on the sand. Okay, yeah, I think that guy is going for that crash ship, that's fine. So, this is spice. All we need to do is land right next to it and be very quick, because, well, obviously, as we are working, we are attracting this sandworm. All we need to do is take out the compactor and get to work. And that about does it. Okay. And we have attracted the worm. Don't worry about leaving the rest of the spice down there. All we need to do is fly up a little bit, wait until the worm calms down, and then we can come down and pick up the rest. Yeah, it veered off that way, so I think we are good. Okay, so let's go ahead and there we go, calm down and pick up the rest of the spice. And let's see how much we got from a single bloom. 465, not a bad haul, but if we really wanted to go for the absolute maximum amount, we could go around the edges and pick up every single pack of spice, and you know what, might as well. Once again, worm is angry, that's fine. Hop in the ornithopter, fly up, wait until it calms down, and then we can come and pick it up. Ooh, not bad. Almost 600. Usually I get a little over 500, but now it is almost 600, so this was a particularly rich spice bloom. But once again, this was a very small one because, well, this was in the Hecker Basin, and we only get small spice blooms like this in the Hecker Basin. To get the big ones, we need to go out into the deep desert, and, well, as I said, before we say goodbye, I would like to do just that. Specifically because the server is not very busy right now. So I think this is the perfect time to do this. Also, our base is right over this ridge. So yeah, once again, if you want to get inspiration from other players' bases, don't hesitate and do so, because, well, for example, this staircase looks kind of nice, I think. Obviously, this is the Atreides build set, but, you know. Oh yeah, by the way, one more thing. Don't be afraid to mix things up a little bit, and you can definitely use different building sets in the construction. For example, I am using the Chom shelter here, but if I wanted to, and I wanted to build those buttresses on this wall, for example, I could definitely use the Chom facility set, the white one, and that would create a bit of a color contrast in between those two pieces. Once again, that would make the wall look a lot more interesting. Wait, another spice bloom? It was coming. Oh, there it is. Okay, tell you what. Before we go to the deep desert, let's harvest this one as well. There you are. Yeah, since we have no competition because the server is so low populated right now, we have to take advantage. In peak time, this place would be swarming with players, so let's do it now while we can. Okay, that is all the spice compacted. Let's wait until the worm calms down. Don't worry, it will not eat the spice. There we go. I think we are good. Yeah, we are good. So, we have compacted all the spice. All we need to do now is come and pick it up. Okay, I think it's pretty safe to say that we are good to go. Once again, this was a relatively good haul. Let's just take a look. It is 572. Yeah, was the yield increased recently? Ah. I got 50 extra spice sand out of these guys than I used to. So anyways, let's go home, stick these into the spice refinery, and I think we are ready to go out into the deep desert. If we get one more spice bloom, I am not going to go for it. I think we can do a lot better out in the deep desert. And welcome back home once again. Yes, by the way, since the last episode, I did actually learn how to transfer stuff very fast from vehicles. If the vehicle is inside the base, all we need to do is go into the storage or the machine, go to the storage tab, and here pick the vehicle in question, and all we need to do is transfer, and that's it. Okay, let's go ahead and start refining this spice. Once again, it requires 100 for a single piece of spice melange and 750 water, so it is not cheap to do this. Okay, we have 66 spice sand left over, and we are processing 11 spice melange, not too bad. Okay then, let me just put away the rest of the stuff from the copter, and I think we are good to go. There we go. Okay, so the spice copter is completely empty. I think I will first stock up on water, because, well, we are going into the deep desert. Extract enough to fill up the liter gun. In between episodes, I stopped using the Deca liter gun. That was way too heavy. I'm only using this Mark V Hydra liter gun. This is a lot more space efficient. This one only takes up 2 V worth of volume. The Deca liter guns take up 15. Yeah, this one is a lot better. So anyways, let me just fill up our water meter and anything else we want to do before we go. Yeah, I will actually leave the money here. Let's just put it into this box. Good. I am not going to take the blood bags. I think I stopped using these a while ago, so there's absolutely no reason to leave them in the inventory. Basically, one medium blood bag uses 8 volume. The extractor itself is also 8. They are not very space efficient, so let's not worry about it. I will make some welding wires because if you need to make some repairs, I would like to be prepared. There we go. Yeah, let's just make 4 more stacks. Good. Also, what is Mark 3 Sparky? That's fine. And the Clapper Mark 4. It's fine. Don't worry about it. I don't think we will use Stompers in this excursion. So, we have plenty of fuel. We can repair if we have to. We have water. I think I will leave some of the tools back at home because we don't really need them. For example, we will not use the resource scanner. Sorry, there we go. The vehicle backup tool. No, if we use the internal storage of the Topter, this will become completely unusable. So let's just save up on a little bit of extra space. We will need the cutter ray. We will need the compactor. These, we will not need the construction tool. Yeah, I think that's it. Also, don't forget to repair the suspensor belt. And the compactor as well, and that's about it for now, I think. Yeah. Okay. So all these can go in this storage for now, and we have 35 volume worth of space in our inventory. Yeah, I think we are going to be okay. So, next, let's make sure the Topter is in tip-top shape. Let's take a look. This one, 78% on the wings, I think is acceptable. Yeah, let's go for it. And we are off. Now, in between episodes, I also learned a pretty good trick how to stay afloat basically indefinitely. All we need to do to stay in the air forever is, well, go into glide mode and pay attention to the Earth artificial horizon. It is not very visible. It is just on the ridge of that nearby, well, cliff. All we need to do is go high enough that we are right on the artificial horizon, and now I am holding right click. All we need to do is go down until we reach the maximum speed of our wings, which in this case is 170 kilometers per hour. We are fast enough, and now we are moving up. After we go 10 kilometers per hour below that maximum speed, then we dip down once again, gain a bit more speed, and then move up. This is completely counterintuitive because this will allow us to basically glide forever. But you know what? While this is not being patched out, might as well make use of it. So anyways, we are on the edge of the map. Let's go ahead and go to the deep desert. Well, in case you are wondering, the deep desert, well, it is to the northwest of Hecker Basin, right here. This is the big one. And we have 3 entrances. Well, this just basically determines where we enter the deep desert. Imagine a colossal area, and on the southern edge of that area we have these entrances. So let's go ahead and enter the deep desert. And welcome to the deep desert. Oh yeah, by the way, I am using the Atreides version of the Topter. One thing I don't like about it is that if you want to get in from the back, the actual interaction point is not reachable from back here. We have to interact with it on the side. That is why I actually usually like to use the default variant, because that one we can reach the interaction point from the back, and well, for obvious reasons I would like it to be accessible from all sides. So tell you what, I will use the default model for now. Anyways, welcome to the deep desert. This entrance point is not yet a PvP area. This is still safe. But as soon as we venture over this cliff, after that it is basically a PvP area. After that it is going to be quite dangerous. Thankfully I am playing in the early morning right now, and it should be relatively safe. So anyways, once again, let's go ahead and do that little gliding trick. All we need to do is basically have the top of the Topter line up with the artificial horizon, and as soon as our speed dips below 10 minus the maximum speed, we go down a little bit, and once we reach the maximum speed, we once again start going up. Obviously, this is completely counterintuitive. It doesn't adhere to the conservation of momentum, but you know what? It's a video game. If we can, we might as well use it. And this is the deep desert. As you can see, it is a complete empty wasteland. All we can do here is, well, look for resources, look for spice blooms, and let's hope that we get rich. What you want to do is basically keep an eye on the sand, and if you see big purple blotches, that is what you want to go for. We also have the metals on these islands as well. Well, I think today I will go for spice. Basically, since we have very limited storage on the Topter, we have to make a choice. If you want to go for metals, then you want to focus on that. If you want to go for spice, you want to focus on that. And as for the actual size of this area, might as well show you. I will go into proper glide mode, so we are slightly moving down. We are right here. This is where we entered. So we have made a relatively good progress down into the heart of the desert. But as you can see, it goes for a while. Also, yeah, that was a server change, sorry about that. So anyways, as you can see, this one goes for a good while. And let me just, yeah, this is the exact edge. This, I cannot place waypoints any further north than this, and that is going to be 60 more kilometers. Yeah, that's a long way. Anyways, keep an eye on the desert floor because we are looking for spice blooms. Anyways, and let me just go into the more active glide mode and let's keep looking. Look, you see that big crater? I think that might have been one of the bigger spice fields at some point. And I think one of the ring mouth very big worms came and, well, swallowed it. Yeah, in case you didn't know, the worms we have been seeing, like that guy over there, these are just juvenile worms. The really big ones are a lot bigger, as you can see. If you have seen the recent movies... Oh, wait. There's some spice. So anyways, if you have seen the recent movies, you might have some idea just how big these worms actually are. So yeah, I think that purple blotch right over there, that is a big spice bloom. Well, I think we got lucky. I see nobody around. Yeah, I think we are good. Thankfully, once again, we are doing this in the early hours of the morning, so I don't think we are going to be disturbed. Yeah, this is completely untouched. We are just going to land right in the middle and, well, fill up the top tier with some spice, plus our inventory, and let's see if we can strike rich. And we have worm sign. This is basically the same thing we did in the Hecker Basin. All we need to do is wait until it calms down. After that we can go back and continue working. Yeah, it veered off to the left. We can get back to work. Okay, we are completely full. And we have worm sign, so might as well leave. There you are. So, this is what we got. Yeah, a complete top tier full and inventory full. We can go home. That ridgeline is the southern edge of the deep desert. Basically, every single deep on that shield wall is an exit, basically. So I will aim for that one. Completely due south, so yeah, let's go for it. And since we are completely full, I see no reason to stop. So yeah, I think we are out of here. And welcome back home. let me just land real quick and let's take tally of our harvest. So, in the topter, we have 3,333 pieces of spice sand, and in our own inventory 931. If we drop down a couple of stuff, it could be a little bit better, but you know what? It's a pretty decent haul. And in terms of damage to the topter, I don't remember exactly. I believe it was 78 or something like that. So the damage is not too bad. And best of all, since we have been gliding pretty much the entire way, we only make damage to the wings. The engine and the generator are in a lot better condition than they could be if we were doing this manually all the way. So anyways, let's go ahead and, well, put the spice in the storages and let's see how much we can take from the refinery in the end. So yeah, let's just put everything in here. On the topter, there we go. Oh yeah, that is a nice haul. And that is going to be 43 spice melange. We are almost doubling our current stash. Not too bad. Okay, and this one did use up quite a bit of water. So tell you what, this one will be, yeah, it is now completely finished. Okay, so now we have 3 empty death stills. Unfortunately, we don't have enough room to put some more bodies in. Can I refine anything to use up enough water? Not really, that's fine. Okay then, I think we can call it good enough here. Yeah. So, we have managed to show you a little bit of construction tips for those big box bases. It's not the end all be all, but you know, it's a decent pointer to get started on. And we did a bit of spice mining. Needless to say, that is pretty nice. So yeah, I think we will leave it here for now, and I guess I will see you in the next one. Thank you for watching. If you liked the video, you can leave a like, leave a comment, and maybe subscribe to the channel if you want. If you would like to support me a little bit more, you can do so by clicking the join button and becoming a channel member, which will give you an early and ad-free access to these videos. Once again, thank you for watching and thank you very much for your support. I will see you in the next one. Thank you and goodbye.